Welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything, which was a sermon that I did my first week here where I asked you to ask me any questions that you had about my life or my thoughts in the church or in the Bible. We went through a lot of questions. Last week we continued on. We looked at outreach in the community and what the church could do to help those that were in need. This week we're kind of looking more at a church-focused question, which is about Sunday school. And I'll show my age here because even though I kind of grew up in Sunday school, I've always called it small groups. So whenever I talk about this, I might say small groups or Sunday school. To me, they're a little bit interchangeable. So I just want to help you understand kind of that terminology. But here's the actual question. What are your feelings about adult Sunday school classes? And do you feel that the individual classes should be free to select their own course of study, or should all adult classes have the same course of study? Now, that was a great question, but I'm kind of going to broaden it out a little bit beyond just the initial question, just kind of my thoughts about what is the role of Sunday school classes or small groups in a church anyway, which I think kind of helps address that question as well. So when you're looking at a small group, the first thing that I think the role of a small group does, it's discipleship. There's a big study done by Lifeway several years ago, and it said, what are the three things that when church members do them over and over again, they actually help to become more mature disciples? And there's three elements that seem like when people did these three things, they just continued to grow deeper in their relationship with Jesus. The first one was to show up to church on a weekly occurrence. So some of us, we can do that as we come to church. Some of us are doing that online, but that's really helpful. The second thing is this idea that we are people who attend small groups or Sunday school classes every week. And then last one is that on a daily basis, you're reading Scripture. And so I kind of always try to emphasize, not only should you come to church whenever you can, but you should also be a part of a small group or a Sunday school class. And also you should be reading the Bible on a regular basis, because those are the things that help you to grow and to become a mature disciple of Jesus. So that's the first reason why I think small groups are important, because they actually help us to make disciples of Jesus, which is the mission of the church. So that's the first reason. The second one is the role of a small group as fellowship. The truth is, churches are kind of large places, and it's hard to know everybody's name. It's hard to know who everybody is around you. It's hard for people to know who you are. And so one of the roles of small groups, it's a place where a smaller setting can occur. People know who you are. People know who your family members are, what your job is, but also on a deeper level, what are the things that you're struggling with? What are the things that are going on in your life? Somebody truly knows who you are, and we all need that kind of connection, and small groups and Sunday school classes help us to have that deeper connection as well. The next way is small groups, Sunday school classes are a place where people can know you when you're going through something that's a difficult season. I'll give you an example for this. I always go to the scripture of the guy who was kind of lame, who couldn't walk, who was crippled, and he needed to get to Jesus, but the crowds were so large around Jesus that he couldn't get there. So what did he do? He called up his best friends and said, "Would you carry me on a stretcher?" And they carried him onto the top of a roof, dug a hole in the roof, and they laid him down before Jesus. And I always think of that as that's a perfect example of what a good Sunday school class or small group should be doing when you're in those moments when you need somebody close to you and you need help to find Jesus. You have friends you can call who can carry you, who can be your stretcher bearers and lower you down through a roof and to help you see Jesus when it's hard for you to do it yourself. So I think caring for one another is another great role of what Sunday school classes and small groups do. And finally, this is the question that was at hand. Do you think that small groups or Sunday school classes should be able to pick their own curriculum or their own course of study, or do you think that should be designated by the church? And my short answer is most of the time, Sunday school classes do a great job of simply picking out what they know they need to discuss at that time. And if that's what the class wants to do, I'm perfectly happy with that. Some classes, they're kind of at a loss. They're like, what's out there? We need help to find something. And the church can be a great resource for that as well, to help groups to find great material that their class can enjoy. And then lastly, I've for several churches I've been through, we've done a part where all of the church kind of went through one series together. We all kind of went through the same lessons together, not only on a Sunday morning, but in all of our Sunday school classes. And I've found that those moments really help to unify the church together. And so there are moments when it would be nice for all the classes to be doing the same thing. Everyone can be on the same page. I'm not going to force any class, of course, to do that, but it's usually those classes that participate really do find a sense of commonality and unity on the other side of a church-wide study. So occasionally I think those are really great options to pursue. I have one last little caveat, though, when it comes to small groups and Sunday school classes, and this is maybe as a more modern approach, but it's this phrase, circles are better than rows. Now, what do I mean by that? If a Sunday school class is set up with rows of people where they're all facing kind of a teacher, that's kind of more of a lecture style. And while that's kind of been a dominant way to do Sunday school for a long time, I think small groups in particular have realized that circles actually help you to see everybody who you're in a class with. And it actually helps to develop that relationship that we're after in those small groups, where we actually are looking at everyone around us. And I really think that circles truly are better than rows, to build that connection with each other, to build that fellowship with one another, to actually understand what everybody is going through in their lives so we can support each other. So when it comes to that, I think that circles are better than rows. That's just my little caveat there. If that's not the way you operate, that's fine, but maybe it's something you could consider adapting to in the future. So I hope that helps to answer some of your questions about Sunday school and small group classes. I think they're vitally important to help us to grow in our discipleship. I think they help to develop connections in a better way than just about anything else in the church. And they really are that support system that we all need in order to help us to grow and to help us to care for one another as the church. All right, well, that's our question for today. I look forward to continuing to receive your questions. You can email me at wesleyduncan@alvinmethodist.org with your questions, and we'll continue to answer your questions as long as you keep asking them. Until next time, bye, guys.